Yeah, we good.
Okay. Hi, welcome to Vinyl Cutter How To, or how to use the Titan 3 here at the Space. Some of the more common hobby/intro to vinyl machines are going to be the Cricut or the Silhouette Cameo. But what we have here at the Space is going to be the Titan 3 with ARMS. ARMS is just an acronym to say it has a laser that can read a barcode, registration marks, so that you can print and cut instead of just cutting. I'm not going to go over the Cameo or the Cricut today, but if you need help with them, I have both. I can answer questions if you need it. With the Cricut, it will run you about anywhere from $200 to $400. The same with the Silhouette Cameo. The Titan 3, brand new, will run you anywhere from $1,300 to $2,300. And ours is going to be the one that's more expensive because we have the big guy that's 68 inches tall or long. So that kind of just shows you the price jumps of, like, ours is more of an industry machine than a hobby machine. Okay, so let's go over some of the stuff we need to. The first step is going to be concept. What do you want to do? Knowing the capabilities of your machine you're using. So a question you should ask yourself is, should it be printed or can it just be cut? If you notice this design of this girl, you'll notice that there's a bunch of gradients. This is like a typical sticker. This is going to be something you print and cut. As for this logo, you guys should all recognize this logo. That can be just a cut, and we in the industry like to call that a decal. Even though there's multiple colors in that further logo, that would just be considered a layered decal. So yeah. Another question you should be asking yourself as you come up with the concept is, what is it going to be used for? Is it going to be used for a car window, a laptop, a stencil? Are you going to need to take it off of, like, a wall? So you're asking this question so you can start thinking about the material you're going to use. Some of the material will have different constraints than others, even though a lot of it is very similar constraints. For instance, some material might have a 16-inch roll instead of a 24-inch roll, and then you'd have to consider maybe paneling some things if you need to. So, is function or material more important? Maybe a customer is dead set on a specific material, then you'll need to know, like, the design constraints of that. Maybe you already have a material and you don't want to buy more. Sometimes you have a function that's more important, so you specifically want it for a car window. Then, you need to make sure that it's going to be okay on a car window. And then the last question, are you modifying a existing design or are you making a design? So the vinyl cutters don't actually see pixels, they only see vectorized units. So you'll rather have to design in something like Adobe Illustrator or the cutting machine's native software like Vinyl Master Cut. I think we have Vinyl Master Cut Pro here. So a decal versus print and cut. Print and cut is what you would consider a normal sticker. That's going to be like the girl who had a bunch of gradients on it. I'm going to go mostly over decals today just because we don't have a printer here that's good enough, or well, that I consider good enough for print and cut. If you have something that is like 8.5 by 11, which is like your normal paper size, you'd have to have something like this. This is my personal one, but this is a sticky mat that you'd need to put in to the machine. You'd put your paper right on it, and after you print it, and then put it into the machine. But again, you can always ask me questions, or I can go over more of the print and cut later today if that's something that you're interested in. Or I can do another class, whatever. All right, step 2, function or material. I know I already went over some function and material, but usually it's a paradox of, should I be considering the function or the material. For me personally, if I'm not doing it for like a client, I already kind of know both at the same time, and then I'm just figuring out, do I need to buy more material, or is the material that I have already works? So some of the material things that people always want to know is removable. Removable is just a classification. All vinyl is removable. It just depends on how much it's going to destroy what you're using. So removable is ideal for indoor use. It works well when you apply it on a smooth surface such as ceramics, walls, glass. However, the vinyl adhesive that is exposed to outdoors, it's not going to be strong enough because it won't stand various weather conditions or even a dishwasher. Then you have the permanent classification. Outdoor vinyl, car decals, mugs, dishwasher, you get it. Most permanent vinyl has a glossy finish, but not all. Like Oracle 641, which is just a brand name, has a matte vinyl with a permanent adhesive. Permanent vinyl can be removed, like I said, but it will do damage usually to walls, paint, blah, blah, blah. So, like I said, matte usually is removable unless it says otherwise. Satin is really hard to find. You can find it, but usually you're gonna have to buy a big old roll of it instead of just little sections like a 12 by 12 or even 12 by 5 feet. Glossy is usually going to be permanent in general. You can still find removable glossy. And then some of the functions, car window, business sign, water bottle, computer, wall, whichever you're going to be doing. So let's jump into showing you how you can use stuff into a design. And we're gonna just go here. And I'm jumping on to the maker room computer. Don't mind me. Just give it a second. Here we go. Haha. Done. So this is going to be what?
No, you shouldn't be able to remote into that. That's weirding me out here.
Oh, I made sure it worked on Tuesday.
Probably required some changes to the network.
No, it didn't. Not at all.
Oh, we moved. It's on Wi-Fi now.
I just
I
unplugged
understand where
it.
you're confused.
Okay, that's why.
I understand what yes.
You'll have to put it back.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
We discussed this already.
Okay.
But it just made it so everyone can see what's going on.
Right,
So
it'll just break the laser cutter until it's put back. Got it. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
no one uses the laser cutter hardly ever, anyways. Or the vinyl machine,
Okay.
to be honest. All right. So where's? Oh, sorry. You gotta go to import. Importing, we're gonna just modify a design right now. So this is just natively how big the image is. I think that's a paper size. You can see it's just a JPEG. The reason why I like the industry standard software is because when I just go ahead and ask it to vectorize it automatically, it is a very nice vectoring, and I'll show you it in Illustrator how it's like just its general settings already super great. So you could just press trace, it makes it into its vectorized form and accept it. Now it's a vectorized form. So see how easy that was? Let me show you on Illustrator. So, here we are. We'll open a new file. I prefer to design in Illustrator normally, but if you already have an existing design, pulling from Procreate, all of the different design ways you can do it, sometimes it's just easier to do it in the software. So this is the same thing. If I'm vectorizing it, you can see, so like I want the threshold more. It's still like, look at all these letters. They're not very nice or anything. This is why it's important to do your logos in a vector form. So once you get it to this part, you are going to do the rest of the things, but I'm going to show you them. So what's left is to load your material, make sure you can your cut head is in the right place, test the area, and then cut. And then after cutting, you're going to cut it off the machine, you're going to weed it, put transfer tape over it, and then you can apply it. I know that's a lot all at once, but I have videos, so we're good. So you're going to want to move your cut head first. So this is how you move your cut head. Let's see if I can, we'll just do it this way. You guys can see. So you're gonna press this middle button here. Yeah, so you press this middle button here, and then you can use these two arrows to move it. And usually you want it over on this side, generally. So then after you move it there, you are going to make sure your force and speed are the correct measurements. Every vinyl is different, every machine is different. I suggest doing a very small test cut to begin with, and then seeing if you need more force is going to be deeper. Speed is just how slow you have to cut before it's going too fast for the machine. So like sometimes it'll overcut because it's going too fast. That's when you want to slow down the machine.
What is overcutting?
Overcut is just like when, I'll do it, show you. So like, say you want this to be cut like into a square like this, it's where if you went over instead of just cutting out just the single square. So like instead of just wanting the single square, you went over and you got these little edges. And in designs, usually you don't want it to go over that. So
why would you want it to go over?
You don't usually ever.
Okay.
I mean, if the design allows it, sometimes you don't have to change it, but most of the time you don't want it to do that. So you can change these just by pressing the speed and the force buttons. You can see here. So then you'll want to load your material. You load your material usually on, I didn't show, where's, okay. Usually you want it on this ring here if it's a roll. You just lift up one of the sides and push the roll on. I forgot to video me doing that, so yeah, do that. One of the sides will be open. On our machine, it's the opposite side of right here. But here, you gotta lift this presser bar. This bar keeps the vinyl fed into the machine. So first you gotta lift it. And then you go ahead and feed through your machine till it gets to the other side. I was doing this one-handed, so forgive me for kind of going over. But once it's fed in, it usually just stays in place. And then you bring that down. So this is where I do lots of thumbs up. This is if it's a very small piece, this is where you'd want one of these sticky sheets. They have them for any of the hobbies. They also have really big ones as well. I just usually use the 12.5 or 12 by 12 ones. And you do the same thing. You'd stick it on here, feed it in, and press that thing down instead of just pushing it through. So, once you get it here, so you always want to make sure your your paper is going to fit, you can just grab these corners and make them bigger, or you can make it bigger over here. But it's very slow when you do that. And then you just want to make sure that this is within, your design is within your paper. And then you can go File, you go to Cut or Plot. Sometimes you can send it straight to the cutter. Most of the time you need to do the vinyl spooler. I don't remember what the difference is. And then, please don't do this. No, not size tool. Should be able to. Okay, so it doesn't think it's the software is activated because I'm RDP'd in instead of on the actual machine. I couldn't figure out why it thought that. So usually you just send straight to the printer and then it'd bring up what you needed. So even though this is going to be a different project, like you can see the signs that we did here, you'll press this test area. You want to make sure you test area first because that makes sure you have enough vinyl. And when you do that, it looks something like this. Come on. It just tests the area, make sure that it's the right size. And then you will just press, my bad, sorry, guys. That's when you just press cut now. If I press cut now on this, it would cut this out, and I don't want it to cut that out. And then it just goes back and forth. Most machines are all the same. Let's see. It'll look something like this, but on a bigger scale. This is my Cameo. This is really loud. That one's not as loud. But it just goes back and forth cutting, like you see. Okay, we're done with that. So, then you just cut it off the machine. You can use scissors, X-Acto knife, anything like that. And then you get to weed stuff. And I actually have little test projects here if anyone wants to practice weeding. If you don't know what weeding is, that's where you take the design and you take it off of its, like you take the negative part off of it. I have some tools here that are really useful. There's like this pick here that's really useful. I like these tweezers as well. You just kind of pick the edge off and pull it. And that is basic weeding. There's still another piece in the middle to take off, but that's what weeding is. And then you put on something called transfer tape. Like this stuff. It's usually clear so you can see what you're doing. Let me just take this little piece off so now it looks like this. You press it on here, like so. And usually you cut it to size. And then you can take the backing off if I press it hard enough. Usually I have a squeegee with me, like this. You take it off and now I can put it on something like a laptop. And then you have to press it again with like a credit card or a squeegee or something. Voila! And that is the full process. Any questions? I went really fast, I'm sorry if it was too fast for you guys.
What does materials cost like?
It kind of depends on where you get it and what you want. Usually you can get, if you're going to a craft store, probably like $2 for a 12 by 12 that would fit on just a regular machine or a hobby machine like this. You can get them online, like at my craft source, like a 12 by 5 foot for $2.50, depending. Then there's stuff like holographic and glitter that gets more expensive from there. And then like regular road signs is a lot more expensive, but it's pretty cheap in general. So, any questions from Discord? I'm assuming no.
Let me look. I don't see anything in Discord.
Okay, cool. The end.